You ever hear a 911 call so wild it sounds like a bad sitcom? Well, turns out I was the punchline in one, except it was my life, my new house, and an HOA president named Linda Garrison screeching from my front porch like she was auditioning for some reality show nobody asked for. "Someone has changed the locks on community property," she wailed to the dispatcher, acting like she'd uncovered a national conspiracy instead of a deadbolt. What Linda didn't know, what she never bothered to even consider, was that I was standing just inside, coffee in hand, listening to her spiral, while making a very different call that would turn her whole power trip into something she'd never lived down. Let me set the stage for you. 3 weeks earlier, I'd bought the old Henderson place at the edge of Sunset Meadows, prime real estate, for anyone who likes a little peace and a lot of home improvement projects. The place was rough around the edges, sure, but it was all mine, and most importantly, it was just outside the HOA's precious jurisdiction. Or so I thought. I'd barely finished one coat of paint in the living room when Linda Garrison showed up unannounced, marching up my porch with this smug smile and a navy blazer like she'd just come from some cult meeting of HOA overlords. She flashed a brass key like she was knighting me into her little kingdom and announced, "I'm here for the monthly inspection." The only thing missing was a crown. I'll admit I was almost impressed. Most people introduce themselves before trying to barge into your home. But Linda didn't care. She was used to people jumping when she snapped her fingers. "I think there's been a misunderstanding," I said, keeping my tone friendly, even though my blood was starting to simmer. "This is private property. Bought it 3 weeks ago, not in your HOA. You could see her brain short-circuit for a second before the smile came back twice as icy. "Young man," she sniffed, "this house is part of Sunset Meadows. We have inspection rights. This master key gives me access to every home in our community." She held it out like it was Excalibur. I almost laughed. "Ma'am, I've got all my closing docs right inside. This place is outside your boundaries. The survey's clear." She cut me off with a wave. "I've been HOA president for 8 years. I know every property under our authority." She actually tried to stick that key in my lock. I kept my cool, but I was 1 second from slamming the door. "Please step back, ma'am. This is private property, and you don't have permission to enter." Her face turned beet red. "How dare you speak to me that way?" "Do you know who I am?" Oh, I knew exactly who she was. Power drunk, desperate, and used to winning by intimidation. Linda Garrison, HOA president. I said deadpan. "But that doesn't give you authority here." She pointed a finger at me like she was about to cast a spell. "You'll be hearing from our legal team. Nobody defies the HOA." And just like that, she stormed off heels, clicking her Lexus, idling at the curb like a getaway car in a bad heist movie. I figured that'd be the end of it. I was wrong. These types never just go away, they escalate. Right after lunch, I looked out my window, and there she was again, ramming that same key into my lock, muttering to herself, getting more frantic by the second. I opened the door before she broke something. "Can I help you, Mrs. Garrison?" She clutched her chest like she'd seen a ghost. "You changed the locks," she shrieked. "That's against HOA bylaws." I shook my head. "These are the same locks the bank had on when I bought it. And you don't have jurisdiction. Remember?" Her eyes narrowed to slits. "You're lying. This key worked for years. The previous owner understood the rules. He gave us access for inspections." I pointed out that the bank now owned it after foreclosure. Whatever arrangement she thought she had was long gone. That's when she pulled out her phone and dialed 911, throwing in enough drama to make daytime TV blush. "Yes, hello. There's a squatter at one of our properties. He changed the locks and is refusing to leave. I'm the HOA president. He's unstable. Please hurry." I couldn't help but shake my head. She actually believed her own fiction. But I had my own card to play. I dialed up Sarah Martinez, the county dispatcher, An old high school friend. Hey, Sarah, it's David Morrison. Looks like I've got a situation out here at Maple Ridge. HOA president claiming I'm a squatter just called 911. Sarah didn't even skip a beat. Let me guess, white Lexus, blonde hair that laughs at gravity. That got a real laugh out of me. Yeah, that's her. I've got all the paperwork, survey, everything. Parcel number 4728916. Sarah tapped away at her computer. You're good, David. That property's never been in any HOA. I see your call coming in now. Officers are on their way, but I'll make sure they know the real story. She paused, her voice a little more serious. Maybe think about security cameras. I have a feeling this isn't the last time you'll see her. Sure enough, 10 minutes later, 2 police cruisers rolled up. Linda launched herself at them, flapping her arms and hollering like she'd just survived a pirate attack. Officers. Thank goodness you're here. That man is trespassing on HOA property, but the cops walked right past her and up to me. Mr. Morrison, that's me. I handed them my folder. Linda's face fell so hard it almost bounced. Wait, what? He's the squatter I called you? Officer Pike turned to her. Ma'am, we need you to step back while we sort this out. But I'm the HOA president, she sputtered, desperation rising. We know, Mrs. Garrison. Please step back. I calmly explained everything to Officer Johnson. Linda's morning visit, her claims, her failed key, the works. He nodded, checking my survey. Property line ends here. HOA starts 50 feet that way. Ma'am, do you have any documentation showing authority over this address? Linda stammered, waving her key like it was a police badge. I don't need documentation. I have the key. Mrs. Garrison, a key doesn't give you legal rights, Officer Johnson said gently but firmly. Do you have permission from Mr. Morrison to be on his property? I don't need his permission. This is HOA property. She was practically shrieking by now. That's when it all flipped. Officer Johnson squared up. Ma'am, according to all legal documents, this isn't HOA property. You've been asked to leave. You're trespassing. Also, you made a false report to 911. The color drained from Linda's face. But I'm the HOA president. That doesn't give you power outside your jurisdiction. Officer Pike cut in. You can leave now and get a warning, or you can be arrested for trespassing and filing a false report. Your choice. Linda's mouth opened and closed like a fish. This is ridiculous. I'll have your badges for this. That sounds like a threat, Officer Pike said, reaching for his citation book. Linda, finally realizing she'd lost, grabbed her brass key and hissed, This isn't over. The HOA will prove this property is ours. I shrugged. You're welcome to try, but right now you need to leave and not come back without permission. The officers watched her slink off to her Lexus, tires screeching as she peeled away like she was escaping a monster, and then they turned back to me. If she returns, call us. We'll have this on file, Officer Johnson said with a smile. Honestly, we've had a lot of calls about Mrs. Garrison. She thinks being HOA president makes her the neighborhood sheriff. I locked my door with my own key, breathing in the quiet like it was the first time I'd tasted peace in years. 3 days later, a letter arrived from the Sunset Meadows HOA, not a threat, but a formal apology. They'd reviewed the records and confirmed my property was never under their jurisdiction. I had that letter framed and hung right by the door, just in case anyone else tried a Linda Garrison. But the fallout wasn't over for Linda. Turns out word of her 911 stunt traveled fast. At the next HOA meeting, neighbors tore into her, demanding to know how many other homes she'd bullied, how often she'd abused her master key. The final vote was swift and unanimous. Linda was out as president, effective immediately. She just sat there stunned as her little empire collapsed. The audit after even worse. Turns out Linda had been playing fast and loose with HOA funds, 15 grand's worth of fines and a handful of violations. Later she stood in court, hearing the judge order restitution and legal fees. her face crumpled like a paper napkin in a rainstorm. The funny part is, after all that noise, my house finally felt like home. Sometimes the best revenge is just standing your ground with the truth, the right paperwork, and a little help from friends who have your back. But I gotta say, it makes you wonder how many other neighborhoods out there are just one power-hungry HOA president away from chaos. So here's my question to you. Where's the line between community and control? When does protecting the neighborhood turn into straight-up bullying? Drop your thoughts below. Who was right, who was wrong, and how would you have handled it? Let's hear your take. Because if there's one thing I learned, it's that justice in suburbia is never as simple as it looks.